Hello and welcome to DataSunrise demo. In this demo, we'll see how we can configure DataSunrise with external Elasticsearch and Kibana service. So DataSunrise has an option to integrate with the Syslog-compatible CM system, but there is another option in the latest versions of DataSunrise. With latest release, you can connect DataSunrise with periodic tasks to transfer your audit storage data to the Elasticsearch and see that in Kibana Web UI. Well, how to configure that? I have my ELK stack running on this machine, and in order to configure DataSunrise to take data from the audit storage and put it into the Elasticsearch, we need to configure a periodic task. So here's my task configured. You can click the new task and configure as a transfer audit to Elasticsearch. And there's some settings, obviously, from the beginning of the day. For example, the data taken generated today in DataSunrise will be transferred as a batch, is 500 items per each batch. And we can also create a frequency. How often do you want to run this task, or leave it manually? You can do it manually, whatever you want. And there is a retention period and results of this task, like status success or failure. Right, so I've configured this already. So when I start this task, my data generated in DataSunrise, saved in the audit storage as audit events, will go to the Elasticsearch. But I need to configure the task itself. So the task, for example, for my PostgreSQL, should trigger and generate some data as an event with query information, maybe the query results, and so on. So let's see what we have. I have a couple of rules created. So if my objects in a list of sensitive data objects affected by any of these DML statements, then DataSunrise will generate here the transactional trails. Right. So let's generate some data. Here's my web application. It works not directly, but through DataSunrise proxy port. So every time I refresh this page, my sensitive data in my PostgreSQL instance is affected by my queries. Like if I view the data or refresh this page, so my customer's object, my customer's passwords are affected. Right? So now when I click a couple of times here, refresh the page, DataSunrise triggered my audit rule several times, and we can observe this fact on the transactional trails on the audit storage, audit menu, right? So we see there was an event, like select statement, this time, right? So, but we need to take the data from DataSunrise and put into the Elasticsearch and connect to the Kibana service. Now, let's go to the configuration and periodic task. We configured already, right? So we can select one of them, this move audit to Elastic, and start this task. The task is configured to run manually. So it can take a couple of seconds maybe, right, depending on the volume we have in our audit storage. Now, how we can check that we have this data in our Elasticsearch? So if you configured DataSunrise already with the analytics menu item, then you will see exactly what I will see. But if not, then please pay attention to the user guide that we have. There are a couple of steps to connect to the Elasticsearch and Kibana, particularly, to see this UI in DataSunrise itself. But now my integration is already done. When I click Analytics, DataSunrise goes to the web UI of Kibana. Now, we see the old events here. This is a default order, but if we try to sort newest first, so we see that this time, right, we generated some data, and the query, here's the query, similar queries. Or if you want to enlarge it, right? So we see so here. So additionally to the query, DataSunrise provides us with the application login detected by DataSunrise, and the application name is already detected. Here's a DataSunrise test, and see all the information from our audit storage provided, even instance name, interface used, query itself. So this way, when you configure DataSunrise to integrate with Kibana and Elasticsearch, you need to do at least the 3 steps. First of all, again, we need to configure our periodic task, right, to integrate with Elasticsearch, and we need to configure our analytics menu item to see Kibana Web UI directly in DataSunrise. And for sure, we need our audit rules to trigger when some sensitive data is affected or any other type of the query executed. Okay. Thank you for watching.